Okay, so hey everybody out there. I hope we're live. If there's anybody out there on Twitter who is doing both, or you are anywhere that you can let us know that you can see and hear us, that would really be appreciated because I'm not so sure. Of where we are, and I'm not even so sure. It would be nice if I plugged my microphone in because so we don't get feedback. But hey, good evening, everybody. We're live on SPSM chat. This has been the most technical problems we have ever had. My camera went down. Hi everyone. I'm Anne Marie Matulis, and I'm your host for the evening, and I chair the AAS, American Association of Suicidology's Impacted Family and Friends Committee. And when I think impacted family, I can't help but think military veterans, and the importance of doing more and doing better with what we can to support both our active military, those who are here back home, or those around the world. And good, and all of my notifications are going to come in and make all kinds of noise. I don't care anymore. I mean, we're just live. I hope so. This will work. We have two guests tonight. We have Stack Up. Now, for any of you who don't know who Stack Up is, I hope you're gonna learn a lot from Matt tonight. I hope you go away with a whole lot of questions. More importantly, I hope you go away understanding what an incredible valuable asset this is for anyone, civilian or military, with PTSD, and all the work and other anxiety, depression, all the other things. But just the incredible work that they do. I was fascinated as hell last year when I heard about them for the first time. And I went, really? They do all of that work? So Matt's going to talk about that. And then up in the middle of the night in Belgium, we have our one and only Tom Cruz with us again, because he's a gamer, and I have to tell you guys, I am not ever board games is about as good as I get. So Trace, why don't you say hi?
Hi everyone, my name is Trace Medeiros. I am a suicide attempt and I am a loss survivor. I'm just here with Anne Marie, hoping things will go on smoothly now.
Yeah. And a gamer.
And yes, I am a gamer. Always and forever.
Yeah, and that. So, Tom, why don't you say hello, let people know who you are, where you are, and what you're doing.
Hello, everybody. Hey, I'm over here in Belgium. I'm actually stationed over here. I'm an active duty Army, Mass Sergeant, 24 years. And yeah, what I do is, besides my normal work, I do a lot with veteran suicide prevention. I had an attempt in 2010, and by the grace of the Army, letting me stay in and keeping my clearance, I now go around with my wife and we tell our story of resilience and breaking the military stigmas. And yeah, and also I'm a big gamer. I've been gaming since, not going to show my age, but back in 1976, black and white TV, we're ponging back and forth. Have every system possible. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Got some Roblox in the background. Just got done playing some Fortnite. So I'm gonna turn it over to Matt.
Thank you. Matt, introduce yourself, hon.
Thank you. My name is Matt Begendahl. I'm a licensed clinician. I work for Stack Up, and I am the manager of the STOP program. I, like everybody, I've been a gamer all my life. I got my first console when the original Nintendo came out. That's kind of dating myself there too, and have been a player ever since. I enjoy getting out there with the community, and either online or in real life, and learning how video games have helped people out with their mental health needs.
Cool. Now, from this point in the conversation, everyone, I'm just going to block myself off, which is going to be a little exciting because that was part of the problem getting on here, is that my camera wouldn't work and my audio wouldn't work, and I had two different computers and neither one of them wanted to cooperate. But I'm going to turn myself down so I can keep an eye on the feed with Tracy, because Tom, you and I have touched on this just a little bit, but it's always sort of been off to the side there. I really would like to I would really like if you could start this conversation. Did you? And I'll throw some questions at you and think about them as you're. I know you're good from shooting from the hip. When did you begin gaming? I mean, was it something you did before you got involved in the service, or was it something you picked up in the service, or it just became more intense? And most importantly, from both of you, because this is one of the things that I just zero in on all the time, is because I don't game. I use other methods to distract myself from stress and from pressure. I was diagnosed with PTSD decades ago from violence, and I'm very grateful to say that I live pretty comfortably with it. But I found other ways to distract me. Sometimes it could be walking the dog, and sometimes it can be watching something absolutely doesn't engage my brain the way gaming would, for sure. But I know what works for me. But I am always fascinated because I don't think Tracy probably had a chance to tell you guys. We've had a teen center for 9 years, and I used to have trouble with the kids with their gaming because I would be trying to talk to Tracy, and she would put that damn phone up, and her fingers rolling, and I'd want to whip it right out of her hands until I heard you guys and some others before you say, stop that. And Tracy would try to explain to me that she could concentrate so much better if she was doing that. And I know that we were at conferences and we were at different places and people see her on the phone. I know they think she's being rude, but what she's doing is she can hear every word better than any of the rest of us can, because that helps focus her down. So that was a revelation to me. And Matt, you're a clinician. I have to tell you, it took me a long time to stop telling you to put the damn phone down, and listen to me. And she would say, I can't listen to you if I don't have the phone in my hand. And I've witnessed it enough. So I have finally come to accept it. But what used to crack me up is watching the kids at our teen center, and they were ages 13 to 19. There'd be 7 or 8 of them around one table. They wouldn't be saying a word to each other, but they would be gaming with each other. And it took me time to understand they were learning to strategize, that their communication was in a different method. And it created a family with these kids. And I came to really respect that. And so when both of you are sharing just those thoughts in mind, and Tom, you've got a good 10, 11 minutes, just let it roll. How did you get involved in this? Why are you still involved with this? You can bring up Mystic if you want, Mystic 7 if you want. But I'm thinking about you. You're on active duty. You're in another country. You're away from your own homeland. Your job, without going into description, is stressful, and challenging. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm hoping that when I mute myself, I will actually be able to come back.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck. Yeah, I know, Matt, you've had your own share of problems with this. And then Tom, just turn it right over to Matt, and I'll pop in shortly down the line, okay? All right, you guys, you're on your own.
All right. So I got into gaming, like I said, way back in the day. I had Pong on the black and white TV, and then I had Atari, and I had a Coleco system, Atari and Coleco. Then I had, Nintendo and the NES and all that good stuff. And I'm even wearing my Nintendo sweatshirt just by chance today. And for me, it was the way my brothers and I had 2 brothers, and we would just compete. It was just a competition thing. It was a thing to do. They were brand new out. So when we weren't outside, we were actually gaming, and we used to be very good at it. Beating games in about a day. We'd get them on Christmas or something, and my parents would be mad 'cause we'd beat them.
Wow.
That fast. My brother and I competed in the first Mario Brothers tournament in our city. My brother took first. I took third. That's way back in the day. And then I just kept up doing it over time. It was just something that I've always done. And then more in the military now, it is for us. I've played it now, and it's how I meet some of my people that I haven't played with or seen in forever, where we can actually communicate a little bit easier than going through Facebook or just tweeting out. We can actually get on a game like Fortnite, like Call of Duty, and be able to actually talk to each other and still strategize and play. And what's funny is, it always comes back to me is, I've been on 5 deployments, and 3 of my deployments were in very high risk areas with some of our best in the world. And literally, we'd go on target and we'd do our objective. We'd get home about 4 or 5 in the morning. And what's the first thing we do is not really go to sleep. We'd end up getting back on the computer and actually playing Call of Duty, which was weird. Like, we just lived this real experience. We just lived, going through a mission where we went and got somebody that needed to be caught. And then we got home, and what did we do? We didn't go to sleep. We didn't really go eat. Most of us just got back on the computer and end up gaming if we weren't employed with something else, which is kind of weird, because you wouldn't think that actually doing it for real life that you would actually want to get in a simulated or a game. But that was actually a way we decompressed. That's where we actually had competitions where certain units had certain houses, and we would play against each other. And we would, we'd kind of just, it was a de-escalation from what we actually just went through. Now we're sitting there goofing off and sitting there playing in the game situation. It's kind of hard to explain, but it makes a lot of sense to me, because it was something we used. It was just something, hey, we're gonna, Call of Duty, you can do that at night. We'll do that once we get back, and we'd play a game or two and then go eat and then, rest until we had to do it all over again. Now I use it more to, again, connect, and it is a decompression thing. I do believe there is, an amount you should be playing, though. I do believe some, there are extremes that people have taken it where, they won't get, they'll be, 12, 14, 16 hours. Now that may be unhealthy unless you're making big money and you're a big streamer and, you're one of these kids, doing all that. And the be able to pay attention. I can admit I've been neglected where my wife has turned to me and be like, "Hey, did you hear anything I said?" Yeah, sure. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's what you just admitted to," and I don't even know what I just admitted to. So, there is got to be a healthy balance of being able to play, and be able to still be functional in and around yourself, and also obviously not being able to just be sequestered in your home or basement or wherever you're at for those many hours. This kind of why I got into playing Pokemon Go. So she mentioned Mystic 7. So I got into Pokemon Go because my kids started playing when it came out. Well, for me, I realized it's also a way for me to actually get out of the house, because you're forced to go walk around, go to different cities to catch different guys, spin different Pokestops. And for me, Mystic 7 was a huge influence, because I watched his videos for 3 years, and the way he handles himself and plays and interacts with people gave me tips on how I could be able to play and interact. And so now each city I go to, I kind of, we'll just meet up somewhere. And if there's a raid, on a boss if there's a level 5 boss, you can't beat it by yourself. You have to do it with at least, 3, 4 other people, right? So now you've got people that are around you that you actually are playing with, and you guys actually maybe start talking, and then you start sharing, and then you start seeing, some commonality. So it was a way for people you would never ever think you would meet or ever have a commonality with. It was a connection for me. And even here in Belgium, I speak English. They don't. They speak French where I'm at. And I've played on this game all around the world now. And here, the team, the raid group that I joined, they all speak French. But yet we get through the raids and we still, commonality. They try to speak English to me, and I've tried to learn French with them, and I've learned different, how the different words, the different guys are different words. So again, it's forced me to get out and interact. Whereas for my PTSD, my anxiety, depression, suicide ideations, I could be just sitting in the house, and wallowing away. I could be sitting there, feeling sorry for myself. I could, be doing other things. But for me, the gaming has been both therapeutic in that manner of making me get out. It kind of goes with my photography. Same thing, getting out there and having to see different things and trying to appreciate more out there. And what it does is, it keeps my mind off of other things. It keeps me focused on, catching this guy, or where do I got to go to get this next one, or, what are my next objectives? What more do I have to do in this game? Kind of same as the gaming in the house. But again, I think there's a healthy balance. I have a son here, and I have kids in the States, and then I have a wife, so I can't be totally putting headphones on and going 12, 13 hours with my buddies, because you know what, she kind of doesn't like that. And fair enough, I've got to balance that out. So I think there could be a healthy balance where I can play, get some times to goof around with the buddies, strategize, and play, and again, even playing games on Fortnite or Apex or stuff like that, or Call of Duty, gets me to interact with other people I would have never interacted with. I've met some people all across the world through gaming that I never, probably would have never met them in any other setting, or would I have met them or talked to them or them approached me? Who knows? But it is a good connecting way. And there's been a lot of research. I was looking through today. There is a lot of research online about gaming and veterans, and the research that's been behind. I was kind of quite surprised that there's been a lot of research. I mean, I found one in 2016 and on Stack It Up's founder. He was on CNN, I believe it was, and talking about this way back then. And then there's been a bunch of research since then about gaming and veterans and why we do it, and what why it is helpful to us, and communities are using it to use it as a tool for decompression and collaboration, and getting the veterans just get together and maybe not even talk, but eventually I believe they start talking, and they start commonalities, and they start strategizing together. And I don't know, for me, it's been very good. It's just a matter of, I got to make sure I balance that and balance it between, doing what I got to do in reality, and not taking myself way into the gaming. And, and the community, the gaming community, I think that's what, in AAS too, within the gaming community, veterans and the gaming community itself have their own mechanisms for taking care of each other, which is something I've found out over the years, which is quite amazing. Some of those big games, WoW and all those other ones, they have inside therapy stuff, and they have all these mechanisms in place. And a lot of these gaming sites like Twitch and all these are starting to have mechanisms in place already for working with the community and national organizations on getting help, which is just amazing. So I love gaming, but it's that healthy balance. And so I think with that, I'm going to turn it right over to Max. I think it's a good segue into what he does.
Thank you. All right. So like we said, the topic is, the love of gaming and what it does for the community. When I was deployed to Iraq, we were there during the start of the war, and we kind of, we always had, not always had, but we had our consoles with us, the PlayStation 2, the original Xbox. And when I was in Kirkuk, Iraq, we would get off of our shift or what have you, and we'd go into the gym, do the usual. But then I would play, my PlayStation 2 for a little while, play a little bit of Final Fantasy, just kind of help unwind after the day's events, even if it was a slow day or it was just kind of a crazy, hectic shift. So, gaming has definitely been a part of my life for a very long time. And so when I started working into the mental health industry in my master's program, I noticed a very common trend with veterans. And that was the lack of social connectivity. A lot of my clients that I was seeing, the veterans, I would ask them, I said, well, who can you talk to if something's going on? There's something, very strenuous going on in your life. Do you have someone you can reach out to? And he says, no, I don't really talk to anybody. I don't see anybody. I'm just kind of holed up in my home unless I have like a VA appointment. And so this became a common trend. And so right from the get-go, I was trying to find different ways or a unique way to bring veterans together, and then using gaming as that platform. So, in the gaming aspect, and it just kind of meshed up really well with what StackUp does. At this time, I was not working with Stack Up, or I even knew of Stack Up. It just happened to be that I reached out to Steve when I was transferred up to the North Bay Vet Center. That's why I'm wearing the hat too. I reached out to Steve and he said, yeah, man, let's put our heads together and see if we can make this happen. And so long story short, not only did it work, but it's been going on now for 3 years. And that, quite a milestone. We're bringing in veterans who never would have stepped foot into a VA agency's building. The vet center is kind of like a storefront operation for mental health. We got veterans coming in and connecting and socially connecting and supporting one another. And that's what's been really, really awesome to see. So kind of turning the tables a little bit, this built into a relationship between myself as a clinician working for the VA and Stack Up. And as time progressed, the STOP program started to build up. And so they came to me and asked me, like, well, what can we do to make this program more solid, more robust? We want quality of care here. And so they asked me to develop the training program for the STOP program. And just in case those who are watching you don't know about the STOP program, the STOP program is a peer-to-peer crisis intervention. We provide support to veterans. We provide support to civilians. It doesn't matter where you come from. We'll take care of you to the best of our capabilities. And we provide this through an online program called Discord. And this is available 24/7. This is definitely in the mental health community, this is very trailblazing work that we're doing. As we've been very fortunate in that timing because it's caught a lot of positive attention throughout the mental health community and beyond. For example, the CDC, we're working with the CDC and building out new programs and developing a study on the effects of our work. So it's really been interesting to see that blend and I feel that people like Tom, myself, and others who are involved in this community are finally seeing that bridge between the mental health professionals and the gaming community and using that as ways to reach out to our demographics. So, let's face it. For example, although the gaming community as a whole has a huge wide array of people, the people who are on, let's say, who watch streaming, like on Twitch, that demographics is almost the sweet spot for the Iraqi and Afghanistan war veterans. And so, having that presence out there in the mental health community is almost needed. And it's like what I've always said, it's an old saying in the mental health community, we match the theory to the client, not the client to the theory. And so if our clients or our demographic is utilizing this resource and using it a lot, there's millions of people who use Twitch, millions more who watch it. If that's our demographic and that's where they're at, I think we need to have our presence there, not just Stack Up, but mental health community as a whole, because then we can reach them. And to kind of talk about what Tom was saying, how video games kind of gives you it's really interesting. It's like it has a therapeutic effect. There's been times when I'll be playing with my friends and we'll get lost in the game, doing our thing. But then we start having these conversations about what's going on in our lives. And this is not just unique with friends. There's been enough research out there to show that, therapists who are trying to reach, like, let's say, young adults, video games has a great way of helping them build up that connection, build up that rapport, and then the young adult, the client, during the playing of the video games, feels a little bit more comfortable with disclosing what's going on in their life. So there's huge research that's going on right now as far as the benefits of how we can utilize this. And now, so I say there's two ways of video games when it comes to our gaming, and the benefit. There's the indirect benefit, and then there's the direct benefit. A direct benefit would be, for example, having those who were affected by a TBI play certain cognitive games that, once a day for at least an hour, helps build up, I think that's the gray matter of the brain. So that's a direct benefit of how gaming can help a person in the mental health area. Indirect would be like what Stack Up is all about. Stack Up is, although there's a mental health component to every single program, it's mostly indirect. So if we send a bunch of veterans out to, let's say, PAX East, well, the indirect benefit is that these veterans are going to be able to get together through this program, socialize, connect, reach out to the bigger population of gamers, and take home experiences. And so it has a benefit. And that was one of the many things that really drew me into what Stack Up does. And they rely on one another. They build up their own social network within the Stack Up community. So it's been really interesting. I feel like I've been in two spots. I've been on the outside looking in terms of seeing how this works or how it could work. And then now that I'm working with Stack Up, I'm finally on the inside where we're trying to generate this interest and push the agenda a lot further. And it's really exciting. So for the most part, that's, has been my experience as far as why I got into the program. I think we're having technical difficulties. I just see a frozen face. Tom, are you still there?
I am.
Okay. I think we're having some technical issues. I say we can keep rolling forward. I know we're still going live. I don't know. Let's give me 1 second. Let's see if she comes right back. If not, we have the agenda. We can just keep pushing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, we got some questions here. I'd like to know more about the positive benefits of Fortnite. It was highly recommended mental wellness tool that grades 7 and 8s mentioned, mostly boys. All right, Tom, you're the Fortnite dude. What are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, playing games over the years, many years, Fortnite by far, I don't feel is that bad of a game, right? There's been a lot of worse games out, and Fortnite, unlike Call of Duty and like Resident Evils and all these other ones we used to play and stuff, it's more cartoonish, right? There's not really any blood. All the weapons are kind of more realistic to nowadays, which is kind of cool. But there's no real blood. When you get killed in the game, you respawn, or there's you just blip away. So I think again, everything goes in moderation. Children are again younger and younger exposed. My son is only 6, and what he just did in school for a project amazed me. He was able to do a pic collage on his own, do a project, be able to beam it from an iPad to the screen, give a brief, answer questions, and then beam it off the screen back to a laptop so somebody else could do it. If he could do that at 6, why are we limiting them on other things? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And for gaming community is no different. As long as it's monitored and done in a healthy manner where they're not, again, a 6 or 7 shouldn't be gaming for 12, 14 hours.
Right. Anybody for that matter.
Yeah, well, unless you're making big dollars. I mean, if I'm sponsored and I'm making that big money like some of these guys are, then okay, I got it. But the 95% of us, don't need to be gaming for 12, 14 hours. And the same thing with 6 or 7-year-olds. We follow the rules by CDC about screen time and how much screen time it is, and what they should have, and then that should be how should we judge it? For Fortnite, again, it's a cartoonish game that really by far is not as bad as some of the games they could be playing.
Right. And I'm going to weigh in on this a little bit. I played Fortnite. My youngest son, he loves the game. He plays it a lot because he gets to play with his buddies. It's a free game, and so it gives him a chance, an opportunity to hang out. But I myself, I've tried it out, but I don't really play it. I've only tried it a couple of times. but I've done some research on it, and I've done some, I've read up on it. And one thing that comes to mind as far as, the question was the positive benefits of Fortnite. Well, I can tell you that by the way of a story. This mother and her child had to move to a new city, which meant that the kid had to go to a new school, had to try and go through the hassle of making all new friends again. And he wasn't looking forward to it. In fact, he was just getting to the point of saying, I really don't want to do this. And his mom took it upon herself. She was on Facebook and she found a local group of parents in the community of where they live. And she just started talking about, the struggles of having to move and all that stuff. And so one of the parents says, "Hey, does your kid play Fortnite?" And the mom said, "Yeah, he loves that game." And so the parent who asked said, "Let's get our kids together and let's get them and have them playing Fortnite and let's see where that goes." And so they were able to use this game as a way to connect these kids and this poor kid who was like worried about how he's going to make friends in the new area. And that kind of goes back into another story. And I'll make it quick so we can get those questions out. There was this one point where this kid, this was at a high school, younger, I think he was a freshman kid, bullied, was getting hassled by a lot of kids. But online, he played Fortnite, and he started playing with these local kids who didn't really know who he was in the high school. But as time progressed and they played Fortnite together for a while, they started building up a real friendship. And it became to a point where these older senior, junior kids took this kid under their wing and protected him from the bullying and harassment that he was getting from the school, from the bullies. And so that had a real world application in terms of how it was beneficial for a kid.
Wow. Yeah, I never even thought of that.
1 second here. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Really low?
Yeah, you're really, really low. I can hear you, but it's really low.
Can you hear me better?
A little bit. Are you back in action?
And like I said, I use it all around the world. So, moving from Florida to Belgium here, I didn't think I'd be able to find anybody to play Pokemon Go with, because you need some people to be able to do the raid with. And I just happened to be walking around an area where there's a level 5, right? I'm hoping that people come to this area. It's a big park.
Sure.
And it's the same thing, I go and there you go. You got people around there, and if you get 2 or 3, then you can start playing. And, even for adults, that's kind of the same thing as, being able to just go out and reach out there and like, hey, I'm going to go be part of the community. And then, so now I'm part of the community. My city's not that big here in Belgium. And, now I walk around and people see me and, I've become part of, them, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And I get invited to some of their cultural things that I never would have understood or probably wouldn't have gone to, but now part of the community.
Exactly. And again, games in general really can have a positive impact and influence on people's lives. And again, that's what Stack Up is all about. We might not be able to see each other face to face very often, but through Stack Up, we can play games together. We can learn or find out, new stuff. Like sometimes, a developer will say, hey, we've got a bunch of codes to give away here. And then Stack Up will say, all right, guys and girls, let's go ahead and, play this new game that we're getting for free. Here's the game codes if you want to sign up for it. And it just really gives them that unique opportunity and to meet new people. That's a new and that's a very important thing, because sometimes basically they tell them how you can develop new friendships. I've made new friends since becoming affiliated with Stack Up and then working for Stack Up. Friendships I never would have had, because let's face it, as an adult, they always say that the only way you can the easiest way to make friends as an adult is through work. Well, if you're not working like me, I'm at home, it really just didn't work very well. So obviously that's just the way, it's just another opportunity. And again, Stack Up is all about that social connectedness. So
it's a good question.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a good question on female veterans in gaming.
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Question: what is the role of gaming with female veterans?
From my perspective, I really don't see it as any difference. You know, the female community. The last time I looked at the statistics, it's almost 50-50 in terms of gamers. So what that means is that, you know, there are plenty of female gamers that are in there, women gamers. And, you know, in terms of stack up goes, we don't have any kind of real special differentiation when it comes to how we game with one gender versus another gender. It's just all the same. And, you know, we welcome anybody. We welcome any community that comes in, you know. Here we got another question.
How many do you see though? How many do you see per, like, what's the ratio to female veteran gamers to male gamers, would you say?
Within Stack Up, I would say that's a good question. I would say 2 to 1.
Oh wow.
In terms of active, I mean just active per, you know, we've got thousands of people in Stack Up, but I'm just looking solely at the active folks. And as far as how people can participate with Stack Up, it's really easy. You know, the easiest way to do it is just go to stackup.org, and at the very bottom, well, first of all, check out all the different resources that are on there, all the different programs that we got on there. It gives you kind of a breakdown as far as each one and what they do. And then if this sounds like something you're interested in, there's the direct links to join us in Discord. We openly welcome anybody who wants to get in with this community. And if you want to build up your own stack, which is a local community program, you know, we have training that we provide. We train a lot of folks. The STOP program has a lot of training involved, but we just want to make sure that you're good to go before we send you out there. And then how can you contribute? It's, you know, as far as contributing, it's a community that's basically built around volunteers. You know, there's not too many paid people in our program. And so there are several different ways. If you want to get into the streaming arena, you know, you can do that and help stream in support of Stack Up. If you want to do gaming nights with Stack Up, that's available too. And basically there are several different things. If you have an idea, something that you want to try out, chances are we are going to be able to do that within Stack Up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you sound good.
I feel like a stupid commercial. Can you hear me now? Okay. I have no idea what's going on, but at least I've been able to hear you all thoroughly through this. And so when I flew off, I lost all the questions. So there is one. Oh, okay. So and of course I'm not surprised. It's from Lisa. Stop Texas Suicides. And what is the role of gaming and female veterans? And you guys have pretty much already answered that, but I wanted to go back to when you all were talking earlier, what I watched and happened with our teen center. And you know, the value of that for kids, because they really did learn. I can't say enough of the positive aspect of the gaming with the kids. More importantly, they created a community online. So our age group was 13 to 19. Now we've got a whole.
Uh-oh. I think she's dropping out again.
Other programs. And what's important about this is our kids were at risk. They were not at risk with the law. They were not in any kind of trouble like that. They were at emotional risk, and it was word of mouth. We did 900 kids over 9 years. And Tracy did an awful lot of, I noticed on your website, Matt, that I saw the reference to assist training for your people. And Tracy and I have been assist trainers, and then our schedules just prohibited us from continuing that. But most of our kids at the teen center got suicide prevention training, whether it was a QPR or a Safe Talk, something that they got. And, you know, through their gaming connections over these last several years, they still support each other. And that's a community that I know most parents and families don't know exists. Uh,
Mm.
and so I wanted to say that shout out because I know there've been a couple of comments. I was on my phone going through, and there were some comments about, well, how do I? Here's one. I don't have it. This is from Desiree, not our Desiree, a different Desiree, who's now our Desiree. Um, I don't have any materials to support gaming on hand. The idea of using gaming for youth with ACE, or now is she talking? I'm not sure, Desiree, you're talking about the military ACE, or we are talking about ACEs, which is adverse childhood experience, seems complex. One benefit to gaming in general is the use of it as a type of mindfulness skill. Now that's interesting. I don't know that I've ever had, I would ever put the word gaming with mindfulness, but I can see how it could be. And this would likely be helpful for that population in that respect. Good point. Good point. But I just wanted to bring up the thought about the kids, because I know that most adults, I do trainings all week long. And I have to tell you, whether it's the police department or it's school teachers or it's guidance counselors or it's community members, the first thing they want to do, the first two things they want to jump on are wrong, using that word, wrong with our kids, is social media and gaming. And I stand there and say, hell no, those are both saving their lives because they're connected. And I wish we find a way to help the larger community understand what that word, how important that connection is. So I'm going to shut up and leave it back to you guys. We're at 9:45.
Mhm.
Matt, I know it's impossible to cover all the bases on Stack Up,
Sure.
on so much of it. What else is it that's important did we talk about how people can contribute? Because you guys still collect things, right? To send out,
Oh,
ship out?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We talked about how people can contribute, and right now we've got a very big push going on called the Call to Arms. It's one of the big months of the year where we're trying to pull in, mainly through streamers and donors, funding to help continue our initiatives that we've got, our programs like the Aerosol program. That's the one where we send out veterans to like E3 or PAX. Then we have the supply drops where we'll send out Xboxes and games and shirts and PlayStations to like deployed members. We'll send them out to veterans who are in need. They, in fact, is something that's really cool and something that's near and dear to me was that they sent out this year, and I'm working on it, to the bone marrow unit here in Seattle. And so they just really do a lot of great things with this equipment. So, of course, the equipment takes money. So, of course, we try to find innovative ways to fundraise. And so that's kind of the big push that's going on for this month. But we're always looking for people to volunteer their time, maybe their knowledge, for the STOP program. We have a group of clinical advisory people who are all master levels or above and licensed, who help us out when it comes to things that go on in our peer-to-peer support. So there's just many ways you can get out there and get involved with Stack Up.
And I'm guessing this is coming from Lisa also. What metrics are used to measure impact on gaming and mental health? Do we have any data? I'm sure you have data.
That's a good question. There is data already out there. I remember back when, I think it was like 2013, there was already data that was coming out in like, for example, World of Warcraft and the social impact that it has.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to go out there and find it again. I would have to go out there and find it again. The stuff that we're doing right now with the CDC, which is called a program evaluation, we're going to get some data from it. And because no data for this specifically what we do exists, it's going to be new data that's going to eventually be turned into research and published as well. So there's already stuff out there in terms of what StackUp does,
Cool.
because again, it's new. We're in the process of making it happen.
And that is difficult because I can tell you from the perspective of impacted family, to my knowledge, not a dollar has been spent on that research to find out how many millions of us there are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I look at Stack Up and the whole premise, and it may seem narrow to some people, but just broadening that out to understand, one of the things we talk about on anyone who is a suicide loss survivor has been
Mhm.
traumatized.
Yes.
Those of us who, like myself, have been impacted by the suicidal crisis, that could be an attempt, suicidal thinking, eating disorder, non-suicidal self-injury, we're traumatized. And I did a presentation just the other day, and I saw this blank stare coming over everybody's eyes. Well, you mean we've been traumatized? And I want to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and unaddressed and unattended and untreated, that's going to manifest itself in some stuff that's going to become extremely problematic.
Yes.
Tom, that's
Yes.
the quietest I've ever seen you.
It's
Uh,
Thoughts,
in there.
comments, what
I'm
do you
listening
want?
to it. So I just I tagged in on the metrics portion. Obviously I'm just a love of gamer and just love playing it for my own therapeutic reasons. And then Stack It Up's doing great stuff. But I tagged in that question also Bo and Chris Maxwell, who are doing a lot of
Okay.
work on gaming on the AAS side. So they may be able to go a little more into the actual like the metrics and what they see on the big research side. They did along with Stack It Up and Matt, they did a good panel at AAS, 2019. So I think they would have probably a lot more on the metric stuff too, and be able to hopefully answer that. I tagged them in that, so hopefully they can get back on the metric side.
Okay, so
But
everybody out, yeah. So how that works is when you're out there, we'll create a curation, a wakelet of the tweets that are out there from tonight. But when we do it on, we'll do that, and then the video, what there is of it, what there is of it, will also be curated. So that's available too for people to hear the questions, because not everybody on Twitter is also watching this live feed. That gets to be a challenge. You need almost 3 screens to keep the whole thing going. But anyway, when Chris and Bo do respond, then we will make sure that we tag that in to this. So if you're following, so here's the deal. If you're following SPSM Chat on Twitter at SPSM Chat, you'll see that response put in there. You'll see that data put in there, so that
Very cool.
we will work on that. Those guys, Tom's right. Those guys are awesome. Typically, about they love sharing data. They love having answers that we can put out there from AAS through that whole thing. We're almost at final thoughts, so I'm gonna just turn it over to each of you for 4 minutes each, and just think about, with all this conversation, what's the single most important thing, or maybe 2 or 3 things you hope are takeaways tonight. Matt, I'll start with you.
All right. Very important take. I would say that there is a large benefit to gaming, and it should not be it should not be dismissed at all when it comes to the therapeutic value of it. I think that it's easy to cast gaming, and I say it under the veil of video games, tabletop games, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it is. It certainly has gotten its share of bad press. But I think that when we're doing something like we are doing tonight, where we're sitting here talking with a bunch of gaming community professionals and discussing the benefits of it, I think the folks who are watching this or looking at what's going on in the Twitter feed could see or start to see that there is a benefit, direct benefits, indirect benefits to video gaming and gaming as a whole. And I really hope that people will give this a chance. And I really hope that the rest of the mental health community who are on the ropes about working with or an affiliation with gaming or a program as important as Stack Up, to give them a chance, give us a chance to show you and convince you that there is a benefit to doing this, and there's research out there to back it up, and that there are people and other agencies such as the CDC who believe so strongly in the work that we're doing that they're helping us expand, they're helping us grow. And we are fine with trying to prove our worth. We just want to make sure that you are giving us the opportunity to do so and to see what we can do in the mental health community.
And if I could be, Tom, before I turn to you, just a quick question. So Matt, I sort of ended up talking with and hoping to do some better work with the Grunt to Core group. Are you connect? And I know there's a Grunt to gaming. No, what is it? I just saw today.
I've heard of them. I've heard of them.
Because they've also got funding now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bringing games into our local VAs here in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Once a month, they have a gaming night, and it's for families and others too. And Wes Sanders is one of the people that's part of that. He's a clinical psychologist, I want to say, not a psychiatrist. He worked at the Jamaica Plain VA for a number of years.
Yeah, I know Wes.
Do you?
Yes.
Small world it is.
Yes.
Tracy and I are trying to connect with him to do some filming, to get some filming done. So is this just another group that's doing similar work?
Yes, it is. We don't have an affiliation with them.
Okay.
From what you've told me, it sounds like they do some of the same kind of work.
Okay, cool. So to all communities, then you might want to start looking around. You may have something in your backyard and not even know it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because this was true. It sort of came sideways through, and I went, wait a minute, you're in Boston, and that was like, okay, you're not quite in our backyard, but anyway. So Tom, final thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, love what Stack It Up's doing, and again, it's something that I've been pushing a lot. Lately is go to where the veterans are.
Yes.
Go to them. Stop expecting us to come to you, and we're keep telling we're the issues with six. Only 6 of the 20 are coming to the VA, so now we got to fix that. Well, to fix that is you go get the other 14. And go find out where they're at. And so this is one platform that they're at. Go into the gaming computer, go into the gaming community, be part of that, and get in there and get your hands dirty and find them out. There's a bunch of, again, it's happening already. We're doing it already. We're already doing it ourselves. We're already in the gaming community. We're already taking care of each other. It's already peer-to-peerness. It's, it's impacted families. It's no different than any other part is, any other, way of trying to help us, come out to where we're at. And gaming community is a huge part of it. And it's only growing, with the games that are coming out and with organizations now that are doing this, which is awesome. It's only getting larger. So there are more and more organizations that I've noticed, veteran communities that are popping up on the scene, on Twitch, on Twitter, with some very high named, with some very high named veterans on them. So this is where we're at. Come play a game with us, talk to us, don't be afraid of us and we won't be afraid of you. And, that brings that connectivity too, is, even if there is that misconnect with the clinician and a veteran, you know what, gaming, it's all the same. We all talk the same language. We all talk about strategy, talk weapons. And then what do? You sneak a little therapy in there. You sneak a little, you sneak a little helping in there. And then sooner or later,
I like that.
Sooner or later they come to you.
Sort of
I like that. That was awesome.
The table a little bit in the conversation, and it's interesting. And I remember now what it was I wanted to mention about Pokemon, and because this ties into it. Was it 2 years ago, guys, that whole big surge started again, and people were crawling out all over the place? Yes. All right.
And that's the thing, is these gamers like Mystic 7 and all these, they're called influencers now, who are 21, 24. People are going to them. I watch them on Twitch. There are people that believe in them and what they're doing, and now will bleed their heart out to them. And they're not equipped to be able to handle that. They don't know. They're just on their gaming. They just think they're doing great. But what they don't understand, and what Mystic 7 got to see firsthand, is people really believe in what he's doing. They really use it for anxiety. They use it for depression. They're using it for therapeutic reasons, what they're doing. So, they're not equipped or able to handle that kind of stuff. So we need to be reaching out to these influencers, these big time gaming influencers, and helping them and guiding them and teaching them and educating them also on, hey, you know what, you're a pretty big deal, and your impact is a lot bigger than just what you think is your gaming. So again, reaching out to where the people are at.
And and so I can wrap that up by saying what you're both talking about right now is public health. You're talking about a public health approach to to situations and emotional issues that up until now have been unfortunately closeted in the wrong category. And
Yeah.
what we're talking about is a complete public health approach, and that's a wraparound. So we don't wait for someone to come to us. We go out to where they have to be. Um, uh, a few years ago, we had a massive campaign here in Massachusetts. It was called massmen.org. It still exists because our numbers in Massachusetts are no different than any other state, that the vast majority of the men who are dying by suicide in our state are white middle-aged men between 44 and 64. And they're the guys that you're not going to come out. And so here's what we started doing. I said, if you're in a grocery store and you see a guy and he fits that age category, he's not pushing a wagon. He's just got that little hand thing where he's putting a couple of things in, and he walks up. I said, that's the one you want to say hi to.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you want to go to laundromats and leave, because we had the cards and everything with there's a screening number on it, an opportunity to do a 24-hour screening on mental wellness. And I said, I want you to drop these off at bus stops. I want you in the bus stations. I want you in the Cumberland Farms, the small little convenience stores. You want it in laundromats. And you want them in grocery stores. You want to look where the men are, not waiting for them to come out of the woodwork to us, because that is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a public health approach. And that's what we're talking about. And the positive thing I want to say about that whole Pokemon surge, the Pokemon Go thing, is that our kids at the teen center are not physical. Okay. They're not, there was a basketball court. They would never use it. They would never use it. They got up off their rear ends. They were out the door. They were walking and walking and walking around the city. They were, and everybody said, aren't you worried about the kids? I said, hell no. I said, that's the most active I have seen them in years.
That's awesome.
And I said, I'm all for it. Let them go do their thing, because it got them physically active, and they got really Tom, exactly what you're talking about, Mystic 7. They got connected, and so, yeah, we do need to be concerned a little bit about, do we have the education process out there? Do we have the awareness? But you know what? That's so much easier to do than trying to corral people into an auditorium to say, here, let me sit here and bore you for 2 hours with PowerPoint. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. And we are about 30 minutes off time. I thank you, first of all, for putting up with, we have never had this kind of technical glitch going on, and I'm not sure what the issue was. Maybe we'll find out there was some kind of sun shower thing going up, and not sun flares or full moon, or we've got rain here, but we've never had this kind. We have pretty good bandwidth here, so I'm not sure on this end or what happened, but neither computer wanted to play. But I thank you both. I love this conversation. This has to continue, so we need to come back for round 2 in a few weeks. Talk about what else is going on, what's happened new, where we're headed. So that, thank you, gentlemen. This will be curated. I can't thank you enough. Tom, go to bed and get some sleep. What time is it here? What time?
It's 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning. Of course it is. All right. You know what? We're all going to say goodnight. So, hey, everyone, this is a wrap. It's certainly been challenging to keep up with, I'm sure. I hope you learned that gaming is good. Gaming is good. It's helpful. We have the data to prove it. We have the research to prove it. Let's stop shutting kids down. Now, of course, be aware of what they're doing on social media, the whole 9 yards, but that's a parental and an adult responsibility. Don't blame the kids for that. Let's take a look at taking responsibility for knowing where our kids are at. AAS has new guidelines about that. You can find it on the website, suicidology.org. They're brand new tips for parents to do, but be careful about don't do what I do. Don't do what I did to Tracy for so long. Don't say, put the damn phone down. That gaming might be saving a life, because if that's helping distract them from suicidal thinking or not self-injuring, we've just saved a life. So let's try to look at it with new eyes. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Glad
to be here. Thank you.
We'll talk soon. All right. Bye-bye.